Welcome back, everyone.
Glad to be back.
Today, we're diving deep into a really disturbing case.
Definitely disturbing.
John Wayne Gacy.
The killer clown.
Yeah, the killer clown. We're using his Wikipedia page as our guide here.
Good source, lots of info.
It's crazy, right? Successful businessman,
Yeah.
community guy, dressed as a clown for kids' parties,
Seemingly normal life.
but secretly a serial killer.
At least 33 young men?
It's mind-blowing, this contrast. I mean, how can someone be so two-faced?
That's the question, isn't it? How well do we really know anyone? What signs do we miss?
So let's start with his childhood.
Always a good place to begin.
Pretty rough. Abusive, alcoholic father.
Physically and verbally.
Never believed in him.
Constant put-downs. Toxic. Absolutely toxic for a kid's development. Messes with their self-worth, their idea of relationship.
And then the sexual abuse.
From his father and a family friend. Layers of trauma, right?
Yeah. It makes you wonder, how did this affect his views on sex, on power, control?
Worth considering. Abuse from inside and outside the family. Vulnerable to exploitation. And then maybe mirroring that later.
And it wasn't just the abuse, right?
No.
Heart condition, blackouts.
And his dad accused him of faking.
Can you imagine? Like, the kid couldn't catch a break.
Just piled on the feelings of inadequacy, the need for approval.
So then, late teens, he gets involved in politics, works for the Democratic Party, and for a bit there, he gets his father's respect.
Interesting. How these early things shape us. Maybe that drive to succeed, was it partly about proving himself to his dad?
That's a good point. It's complicated.
Hmm.
More than just, like, seeking approval. Ambitions mixed in there, too. Then with the Jaycees civic organization, right, he has his first homosexual experiences.
A turning point.
Yeah, there's an account of a colleague taking advantage of him while he was drunk.
Especially after the abuse. This could have really twisted his views on sex and consent. Connecting sex with power, maybe? Like what he'd experienced?
Right, so you see these factors all coming together. The trauma, the need for acceptance, this introduction to, well, sexuality mixed with power.
Complex.
And then he moves to Waterloo, Iowa, gets married, KFC manager, normal life, outstanding Jaycee even.
Yeah.
But underneath,
The darkness is there.
yeah, he's accused of assaulting a 15-year-old boy, son of a fellow Jaycee.
Sodomy. Attempted assault.
He denies everything, says it's political, but the evidence,
Strong. And then he hires someone to attack the boy. To stop him from testifying.
chilling, shows manipulation, the ruthlessness, protecting his image at all costs.
No accountability.
He serves time, 18 months sodomy. But then get this, his record is sealed.
Wow. A clean slate. A chance to start over, but for him.
A chance to build a new life.
No.
On lies, he buys a house, 8213 West Summerdale Avenue.
The infamous house.
Remarries, starts his own construction business, PDM contractors, big summer parties, hanging out with politicians.
Building that facade of normalcy.
And then he joins a clown club,
Pogo the clown.
performing at parties, hospitals, the friendly clown, while the predator lurks underneath.
The mask. Hidden in plain sight.
In his business, PDM contractors. He hires young men, propositions them, threatens them if they refuse.
Power and control, exploiting his position. Horrifying.
There's the story. David Cram lived with Gacy. Gacy gives him a watch, says he got it from a dead person.
It's just casually. Like, it's nothing. Chilling. The crime's becoming normal to him. Part of everyday life.
So yeah, we've got this picture, right? Troubled past, deception, control, growing darkness behind a normal facade, and it's about to get much, much darker.
It's just unbelievable how quickly things escalated. After his divorce, especially. 1976.
Living alone, running a business,
Yeah.
community events, and all the while.
Committing these horrific acts. A complete double life.
It's almost like he compartmentalized it all, right? Master manipulator, charm, normal facade.
Gaining people's trust. And then the magic trick. With the handcuffs.
So creepy. That detail always gives me chills.
Part of his MO, deception. Luring them in. False sense of security. Sometimes even as pogo, right?
The clown act.
Yeah.
Handcuffs, harmless fun, and
But horror begins.
brutal. Alcohol, drugs.
Yeah.
Sometimes he'd choke them unconscious in the bathtub.
Revive them. And then,
Continue the torture. It's hard to even process that level of cruelty.
beyond just killing, a sadistic element. The need to inflict pain. A real psychological disturbance. No empathy at all.
The rope trick.
Wait.
He'd slowly tighten a rope around their necks using a hammer handle.
Horrific. Methodical. Calling it a trick. That just shows you.
His mind, depraved, calculated. But he might have kept going Indefinitely.
If it wasn't for Robert Piest.
15 years old,
Oh.
December 1978.
Last seen talking to Gacy about a job at PDM, a turning point.
Absolutely, the investigation.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Joseph Kozenzak.
Tenacious.
They search his house, find all this disturbing stuff. Badges, handcuffs, a syringe, books on. Homosexuality and pederasty, a 2x4 with holes drilled in it. A class ring.
Belonging to a missing teenager. Not just random stuff. Evidence. Building a case.
And then, the dogs. The search dogs.
Smart move.
They react to the smell of death. In Gacy's car. Piest had been there.
Undeniable evidence. Couldn't lie his way out of that one.
The walls were closing in. He even tried to sue the police for harassment, trying to make himself the victim.
Desperate. The pressure.
And then, meeting with his lawyers, he cracks.
Confesses at least 30 victims buried in the crawl space, others dumped in the Des Plaines River.
Imagine being his lawyer, hearing that, just calmly describing these horrific acts. Any remorse?
Not really. Rambling, arrogant, self-pity. Called his victims male prostitutes. Hustlers. Said he wanted to end his own life.
Rationalizing.
Trying to.
Second search warrant. Back to the house. The crawl space.
A nightmare. Flooded. The water drains. And then the bodies.
Skeletal remains.
Yep.
Wrapped in plastic. Decomposing. Horrific.
An evidence technician said it best. This place is full of kids.
Chilling. The sheer scale of it. He admitted to killing Piest. In his confession. Strangled him. Slept next to his body before dumping it in the river.
Slept next to his body. That detail. No remorse. No human empathy. A monster.
Arrested. Charged. 33 counts of murder. Media frenzy. Prosecution. Cold-blooded killer. Defense. Insane.
Landmark case. The number of victims. Questions of responsibility. Insanity.
Psychiatric experts. Multiple personalities. Sane. A battle of experts. Trying to understand his mind.
The insanity defense. Always controversial.
The jury rejected it. Guilty. All 33 counts.
Survivors testified about his manipulation, the horrors, powerful testimony.
Heartbreaking. Gave a glimpse into the depths of his depravity. Their courage. Coming forward. Helped establish the pattern. Held him accountable.
Crucial.
Death sentence. Years of appeals. Execution. 1994. The end of a terrifying chapter. But the scars, they remain. For the families. The community. Forever changed. The families.
I know. It's hard to even imagine.
Most of the victims, young men. Late teens, early 20s. Just starting out.
Dental records. Skeletal trauma. A painstaking process.
And 5. Still unidentified.
A mix of relief and just agonizing closure. For those who got answers. But for the others, the search continues. Decades later, the pain, it just ripples through generations.
It really does. And then there's the question, did he act alone?
He hinted at associates.
And some investigators think there's something to it.
People who knew him, worked for him, have come forward, saying others might have been involved. Jeffrey Rignall, for example, survived an attack. Said he saw another young man there.
And some of the murders. Gacy was supposedly out of town.
Logistically, could he have done it all himself?
Right. It makes you wonder.
It keeps investigators wondering, too. Nobody else charged, but the possibility remains. An open question.
The loose thread.
Unsettling.
And now the unidentified victims, DNA technology, facial reconstruction, try and give them back their names.
It's a long process, but so important. Families have lived with this unimaginable loss for so long, hoping for answers.
The quest for justice. It never really ends, does it? Especially in a case like this.
No, it doesn't. The Gacy case, it had such a wide impact. Changes in law enforcement, the Amber Alert system, for instance, for locating missing children.
A positive outcome. At least something good came from it. A legacy that might save lives.
Yeah.
Even in the face of such darkness, we can learn, adapt, try to prevent future tragedies.
Exactly. Vigilance, awareness, open communication, support systems for young people. They're so vulnerable to predators like Gacy.
So after this deep dive into this twisted world,
Yeah.
what do we take away? What sticks with you?
That evil can hide in plain sight, beneath the surface of ordinary lives. Appearances can be deceiving. We have to be vigilant, protect the vulnerable.
Monsters don't always look like monsters. They can be our neighbors, co-workers, people we think we know. And the impact, it ripples. So many lives affected in ways we can't even fully grasp.
We've only scratched the surface here. There are so many books, documentaries, podcasts that go deeper. I'd encourage everyone to explore those resources if you want to learn more.
Yeah. There's always more to uncover, more to understand.
Yeah.
And as you explore, think about this. What allowed him to operate for so long, undetected? What can we learn to prevent this from happening again.
Important question.
Creating a safer world for everyone.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
It is justice, understanding, prevention.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the life and crimes of John Wayne Gacy. A heavy one for sure, but hopefully insightful. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed.
And stay safe.